Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea and today I'm going to be talking about the podcast The Primal Presenter Engages Every Audience, hosted by Scott Schwertly, as well as my personal interpretations and my own reflections of it. Just a disclaimer, this video is for my COM 1100 class and for educational purposes only. In his podcast, Scott touches upon the subject of audience engagement when presenting and why it is important to know how to maintain it. He essentially gives us tips on how to captivate your listeners by using 5 simple methods that anyone, including yourself, can learn. What made the podcast worthwhile to me is the fact that Scott is actually the founder and CEO of an agency called Ethos 3, in which they specialize in presentation design. Therefore, he can certainly teach us a thing or two about what makes a presentation better than most. The reason I chose to listen to this podcast for my assignment is because I'm a visual learner and I tend to find it difficult for myself to concentrate on listening and understanding things when there's no visual attached to it. I just find it easier to process information through what I see rather than through what I hear. Ultimately, I wanted to challenge myself and build a balance between my auditory and visual comprehension styles. And so one of the aspects I appreciated about Scott's podcast is that he made it easy for people like me to focus on listening by simply using the power of his voice. The clarity, storytelling, and common vocabulary used were all tips he gave us while naturally implementing it into his own podcast. He also touched upon the importance of acknowledging your audience and designing your presentation based on their different needs. Examples Scott included were: does your audience like to be called out on? Does your audience want to participate in workshops? Is your audience made up of majority introverts or extroverts? Asking yourself these questions beforehand makes your audience feel connected to you and actually leaves them wanting to engage with you. I feel that these are all very important and crucial skills to have, especially in a time where the world is constantly moving and people are seemingly too busy in their own heads. As a matter of fact, people's attention span has declined by 25% over the past decade, which was a study conducted by Microsoft Canada. Now, after listening to this podcast, I've learned that a presentation is not about memorizing or reading facts off of a script. It's about having a genuine conversation with your audience, just how you would with a friend or a family member. The best tip you can utilize for this is by storytelling. As Scott stated in his podcast, research found that stories can increase information retention by 26%. In addition to this, including descriptive words and easy vocabulary in your story can increase that retention rate. These presentation tips that Scott shares in his podcast can be helpful to anyone, from students to teachers to public speakers to even everyday people, considering that all of his tips can be applied to not just presentations, but to one-on-one conversations with other people in your day-to-day life. I know that this would definitely help me shift my mindset and change the way I look at presentations. I think the reason a lot of people, including myself, get nervous about presenting in front of large groups of people is because they lack the understanding of what makes a presentation a good one. It's normal, however, for us to feel like we weren't born a natural presenter, but it's very important that moving forward, we remind ourselves that there will always be room to improve and opportunities for us to practice and hone our speaking skills. To sum it all up, we have learned how to engage our audience through sharing personal experiences, asking simple yet effective questions, utilizing common and descriptive words, and most importantly, it's about knowing your audience and making them feel a sense of relatability and enlightenment. I've learned a lot from listening to Scott's podcast, and I hope that you've learned a lot from watching this video too. Thank you for watching and have a great day.